And again, just ask if you're not asking a question, just leave your microphone on mute so there's no background or anything like that. We'll get started with Chris McCoskey from the Detroit News.
Hey, Ryan, thanks for doing this.
Hi, Chris.
How you doing? Hey, congratulations on getting these guys in this game. I guess the question is, for people who don't follow draft and don't follow prospects, what does this mean for the organization? I know what it means for the kids to get in this game, but what does it mean for the organization to send these two guys to this game?
It's great. I think obviously, I think our scouting department and our player development department, we work hand in hand. And every time we get to celebrate any of our players, it's always exciting. And two guys, I think, wildly different paths to this game. Dillon went to a Power 5 school, was a high pick. I think a name that most people know that follow the Tigers. And then Wilmer, the opposite, a later round pick from a small school out west. Kind of following Brisky and Garrett Hill. We are developing some of these young pitchers that were picked later. I think something that our scouting department should be really proud of, that they are finding good arms later in the draft that are shining brightly, and two of them now in the major leagues, and Wilmer hopefully close behind. But I mean, anytime, all the work that especially my department does, a lot of it's in the background. We're here for the players. So any chance we get to celebrate an achievement or an honor like this, where they get to get named, they get to go out to Dodger Stadium and playing the game. A lot of people really excited today, and a lot of men and women put a ton of work into these two young men, and get a chance to be excited with them today.
Thanks. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Chris. Cody Stavenhagen.
Hey, Ryan. What's impressed you the most about Wilmer, just in your time around him, and how far he's come in a short time?
Yeah, I think there's a lot. There's some pitch characteristics to really get excited about. There's deception in the delivery. He strikes people out. He doesn't walk people. He doesn't give up damage. All the things that we value as an organization that baseball values right now, he's doing. But I think more than anything, it's the work ethic, his willingness to be coached, his willingness to interact with our staff to try to get better. He comes to the park every day with great questions. Our staff, everybody loves him. His teammates love him. But it's a good story when a young player comes from, like we talked about, a smaller school and is kind of unheralded. He went to the fall league, proved himself against everybody else's top prospects. He's kind of just checking all those boxes of the complete player, in that he works. He wants to work. He wants to get better, premium stuff, and there's a little bit of a chip on his shoulder of that. He wants to be a big leaguer, and he's in that great spot of being the underdog, just to prove people wrong that he's going to be that 28th rounder that gets to the futures game and gets AAA and has a chance to get to the big leagues.
When you took this job, I'm sure there was a lot to learn, a lot of players to dive in. When did Wilmer really stand out as someone who could be a guy in this system too?
Yeah, he was one of the first players I saw. Because right when I was hired, the fall league was beginning, so I went out and saw those guys, and a couple of our position players got injured, so I ended up kind of locking in on him, and I think that's where he really opened up a lot of eyes. I think up to that point it was okay, nice numbers in the lower levels, but he went out there and he held it. He's striking people out. Obviously the velo pops, but there's also it's not an easy at bat for any hitter, just because there is some, he's a big, strong guy. There's deception in the delivery, and he, it's just there's a good pitch mix. So I think that, then he held it, came into camp, was really good again. I think what's been really exciting too is that he's held those numbers that he had in West Michigan in Erie, and he's continuing to strike people out and not walk anybody, and really looks like a horse.
All right, thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Cody. Jason Beck.
Hey, Ryan. What's been the process in terms of bringing Wilmer along in terms of innings this year? I know he had a little bit of a shorter spring training due to injuries, but has it been kind of a process to ramp him up, and kind of what's been the ebb and flow there? Because I know sometimes we'll see him throw a few innings in the start, and other times he'll work deeper. Is it strictly pitch count, or do you guys kind of go a little bit on how he feels from start to start, or if he's making 2 starts in a week?
Yeah. So, I mean, organizationally, obviously, we brought in an entire new pitching group, and we work closely with Chris Fetter, our major league pitching coach. I think every organization right now is trying to find that magic sauce of inning limits or inning floors or ceilings, us included. So I think the one thing, with Wilmer, it was a hamstring injury in spring training. So, fortunately, it was not a arm injury. But I think, we talked about fall. He threw last year about 85 innings in the fall league. You add that to it. So we have definitely kind of taken a non-traditional approach with certain starters and certain of our young pitchers in that, the studies now are out there. We have, load management is something that we talk about frequently now. And I think something that we can really, when we talk about our performance group, something we've really dove into deeply with our coaches, our trainers, and our strength coaches on just making sure, just looking for markers of fatigue in a player. And as we see them, adjusting. So we've mixed in some cut starts with Wilmer where it is, normally he's probably 590, but every once in a while we'll go a cut start where it's 340, and that's known from the start. Wilmer knows it. He changes his work throughout the week, and we just kind of hope to kind of that ebb and flow of his fatigue and his energy by looking at our different markers and making sure that we try to get him to that innings floor first. The first goal is innings floor. And then every pitcher has an inning ceiling as well that we hope they get to. But the goal, I know this has come up a lot in baseball lately, that our goal is to create starters that can throw, 180, 200 innings. So, as Wilmer started in West Michigan, like we're picturing out years down the road being a guy who can take the ball and give us 180 innings. And that's what we look at with all our starters, especially, in Lakeland. We have plans for our starters from Lakeland that 4 or 5 years from now, they're going to give us the opportunity to take down some, significant innings in the big leagues. We're still trying to create starting pitchers here.
And on Dingler, you've seen the challenge that, of catching prospects and how difficult it is to develop and do time management while, running a pitching staff. How have you seen him kind of grow into that role and develop this year? And how have you seen him kind of take a role in the development of that talented pitching staff in Erie?
Yeah, I think the best compliment a catcher can get is pitchers like to throw to him. And the best feedback I've gotten for Dillon is we've had to send some, veteran pitchers to Erie just because of the way the rosters worked in Toledo, guys with major league time. And a couple of them have pulled me aside and said, "Hey, I like throwing to that kid. Like, he's going to be all right. Like, he understands how to call a game. Like, he's got good feel back there. I really like throwing to him. So, good job. You've got a keeper there." And that to me means more than anything. The guys that have spent time in the major leagues pulling me aside to talk about that they like throwing to Dillon. That's hard to do, and that's probably that's the biggest challenge for a young catcher is gaining the trust of veteran pitchers. So Dillon, he does spend a lot of time on it. He cares. The game report or the scouting report and the game management part, I think he's done really well at. Obviously the blocking, the throwing, and the receiving come just as important, and he's doing a good job. There's things we work on every day, but it's a lot, and mentally that's why we have the minor leagues. I think some of it is just the mental strain every day of being a catcher that is also we want to hit in the middle of the lineup. It's a lot. He's doing well at both. He's working really hard at both, and I do think that he does just being able to handle the staff is number one on our list, and that is where he is probably excelling the most.
Great, thanks, Ryan.
Jason, Jeff Seidel.
Yeah, thank you. You talked a lot about obviously the Dillon's receiving skills are the most important, but offensively he seems to be ticking up. Could you talk about his offense?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's I think he'd be the first to tell you that we're working on a lot of things. He's had good and bad stretches back and forth this season, and we have asked him to simplify some things that he's buying into. I think for him, he's so strong. That he hits the ball really hard. But I think a little bit less might be more for him sometimes. So we've definitely worked on simplifying some of his movements just to create more contact. Strikeout numbers are still a little high. His walk numbers are up from last year, which is good. He's hitting the ball in the air enough. But I think he's kind of had a stretch there in June where, the swing and miss, I think everyone would say got a little bit higher than we'd like. And as he continues to simplify things, it's been really nice. We're only 7 days into July, but the power's coming back. And when he does hit it, he hits it hard, it goes a long way. So, this is why we have the minor leagues. I think it's okay to struggle in the minor leagues. I think it's good for him, honestly, because then when he gets to the big leagues, he'll understand what it's like to go through a little bit of a rough patch and have to learn how to make some adjustments on the fly. So no rush to make wholesale changes, just small tweaks that hopefully just keep him more consistent in the zone and putting the ball in play.
If I could ask just one big picture question. What is the biggest thing you've wanted to implement this year since you took over?
I think I would say the most important thing, I think it's culture before anything, and makeup. And a lot of that does come from AJ and Al. And it's just raising our standards of how we do everything. And it starts with the staff, and it starts with how we prepare, and it starts with how we care about our players. It starts with, putting together organized and detailed and data-driven player plans, so our players know we care, because unless we show them we care, there's not going to be a whole lot of buy-in. And then once we've done that, we've absolutely asked the players to raise their standard and how they do everything, how they eat, how they sleep, how they work, how they play, how they run the bases, how they play defense. I think you get kind of one shot with a new leadership group coming in Player Dome to refresh where the bar is. And our biggest thing is, you do big things like you do small things, and it's just been changing the culture of paying attention to the details and the little things, and hoping that the big picture grows with it.
Thank you.
Jeff, we have time for a couple more. We'll go to Tom Reisenweber.
Hey, Ryan, you touched on this a little bit with Dillon, but we have about 2 months or so left in the AA season. What do you want to see out of both these guys over these next 2 months for improvement?
Yeah, I think with Dillon, we touched on it a little. I mean, we definitely, with the swing, simplify some of the movements, cut some of the strikeouts, continue to just hit the ball hard in play. He is walking more. He's controlling the zone better. I think it's just more contact. Continue to work on some of the things there are some things in his lower half that we've talked to him about, improving performance on the fastball. Behind the plate, I think for Dillon, it's get through July and August. Some of it's just, hold your strength, hold your weight, hold your mental capacity to get ready for all these series through July and August, get through a full, minor league season and be able to stay healthy. He's done a great job of that. The one thing I'll say about Dillon, he's posted every night, and that's not easy as a catcher. He DHs on his days off, and he stayed healthy, and he showed up every day ready to work, ready to play. And I think now it's, get through July and August doing that. Catching, I think just continue, become an elite receiver. He's really good right now. Like, dominate, be the best in AA. Continue to block and throw the way he has, and handle that pitching staff. Like, get these pitchers through the summer months when the stuff maybe might start dropping a little bit. Figure out a way to get that staff through these last 2 months. With Wilmer, we are, like I said, we are same. Get through the season. Figure out how to pitch through the summer months. Figure out his 7-day routine, kind of how to hold his strength, hold his velocity, reach his inning floor, healthy and with the same stuff, and maybe get out of there. For each of them, obviously, I think at some point, I wouldn't be surprised to see either one at least touching AAA this year and getting a look at them at the next level as well, because they've certainly in stretches showed that they're dominating the AA league right now.
Thank you.
We'll wrap it up with Evan Petzl from the Free Press.
Ryan, thanks again for doing this. Just on Wilmer specifically, he's always been a big strikeout guy, obviously, but the walks in particular have continued to drop. What does that tell you about his stuff, just in general?
Well, I think organizationally, we stress, throwing the ball over the heart of the plate. He's not scared. I mean, it's good stuff. I think the one thing that we talk about in the minor leagues, especially if you look at major league pitchers when they're in the minor leagues, they threw the ball in the zone and they still got swing and miss, and they still got people out, and they still struck people out. And so I think Wilmer's a prime example of that. He throws the ball over the plate and he still gets swing and miss, and he still gets strikeouts. So it's not a sometimes you can have some outliers where guys getting a ton of chase out of the zone, and then you get to triple A in the big leagues, and some of that chase goes away. That's not Wilmer. I mean, it's a real fastball with some good characteristics on it, with some carry and some ride, and he can throw it in the zone and get swing and miss. I think fastball usage and being able to throw your fastball in the minor leagues is such a marker of success in the major leagues. And I think that's one of the most exciting things about Wilmer is I think it's as real fastball as you'll find at the level, and it's pretty exciting.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Evan. That's all the time we have. Ryan, thanks for the time today. We'll have Dillon Dingler in just a second. And then we also have Wilmer Flores coming at 1:30. So we'll put everybody back in the waiting room. And then once Dillon's ready to go, we'll let everybody back in. Ryan, thanks again.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.